unmuted.
Okay. Welcome to this meeting. Thanks for being here, watching, or listening. Lander County Commissioners meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of County Highway Commissioners, March 22nd, 2022. This is a continuation of the budget hearing from yesterday. Kathy, lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a moment of silence, please. Okay. Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 to 1:15. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda. Public comment for non-agendized items only. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and/or attend and make comments on any non-agendized item at the board meeting, if any, and discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person, again at the discretion of the board. Reasonable restrictions may be replaced on public comments based upon time, place, and manner, but public comment based upon viewpoint cannot be restricted. Does any commissioner have anything to report? Bert, you have anything to report? No? Okay. I think we left off yesterday at number 58, but we need to go back to yesterday.
Art,
And we need to talk about the sheriff's office, and I think it'd be under capital.
sorry, I thought he was referring to district court. The judge, I don't believe, will be able to be here till 11 to
No, that's fine.
hear his budget, so.
He wasn't here yesterday. If we get done, too bad. Okay, so we're gonna go back, we're gonna talk,
We need to do number one, we need to approve the agenda prior to that. We need to do number one first, we need to approve the agenda.
number one on the, on which
On the
agenda?
agenda.
On this agenda.
And then do they have to read it, number 2?
Oh, right, approval.
Yes.
We need a motion
And
to
you have to
approve.
read number two.
Mark,
You have to read number two in too.
read number 2 in first.
No.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda for March 22nd, 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're ready to go? Okay. Tell us what you found out, Robert. Number 2, overview and discussion of FY 2022-2023 revenue projections and all other matters properly related thereto. Now we're ready?
Are you on the right agenda? I can't see that, because the one I have says public comment.
Yeah, but he kinda did backwards, he did public comment first.
Yeah, I said,
You did public comment first.
Oh,
I read it.
I thought we went back to it.
No.
Okay, now we're going back to public comment. Is there any public comment? See what happens when you work people too hard? They don't wanna stay, they get confused. No, hearing no public comment, we shall now try to proceed. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Lakin.
Morning.
Good morning.
Tell us what you found out, Robert.
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. So based on what the commission asked yesterday, I did contact Aaron, which is the county engineer, and we had a general conversation this morning regarding building a new building next to the Sheriff's Office, roughly 120 by 50 to accommodate the training facility. based on what Aaron's just initial conversation was, he reported that just for budgeting, without him putting anything on paper, would be 3.5 million. And that incorporates, current, construction prices, which I did discuss with him based on, Commissioner Sparks', concern that those may go down next year. He indicated that he doesn't see that happening. Although they keep saying that, they don't see that occurring. And so he has a tendency to budget or to say that it's about $350 a square foot.
Well, the
For
figure he gave
construction.
is $583 per square foot.
Well, $350 is just the base cost. That doesn't include adding the utilities and things like that in.
It's expensive.
But he, like I said, he said he doesn't see that going down. He said he actually figures that this is the pricing that should have been for a long time, and that they've finally raised it, and they're not gonna drop that. He did say a year to 2 years ago, we could do it for $150 a square foot, but not anymore. I did also talk to him about, regarding, what Commissioner Sparks asked about for charging some of the other entities coming in, and asked him about incorporating a couple, bunk rooms into this facility where they could stay. That would allow us to bring in from, further away entities that they wouldn't have to have that huge expense of a hotel stay, including per diem and stuff like that. So that would include this as well.
So I would ask if you guys wanna go back to, number 7 from yesterday's agenda and reapprove an amount on the training facility, or if you wanna leave it at the 345,000.
I would like to add that, we did have some discussions after yesterday's commission meeting, and we do appreciate all the support, regardless of what your decision is today on this, all your support that you do give the sheriff's office. If you're able to go forward with a new facility or a new facility next to the sheriff's office, it would absolutely be more advantageous for the sheriff's office to do it there, and I think ultimately more cost effective. The building, refurbishing the building out at the airport does have some concerns, but of course, like always, we were trying to be as frugal as possible. And that cost that we submitted does not include a full turn-up of the building. It's the baseline just to get it inhabitable.
Who does all the training, Robert? You have one person or you have a couple of different trainers?
We spread the training throughout the sheriff's office. We have different deputies and different employees have different certifications. So when we do an academy or training, we have different officers come in and train on different subjects that are certified.
Who does the category 3?
That's in category 3. It'll be the same as category 1, and we have been, by Humboldt County, we have been offered their training officers to come over as well and assist with academies.
Okay, who is trained in our county to certify numbers 3 and 1?
Right now, category 3 certification, it's not an individual, it's a whole list of courses, and there's different individuals for each of those courses.
Okay.
So they just come in and do that. And then at the end of the current Cat 3 Academy, we actually have the cadets go online to do the post-certification test.
Okay, so nobody in the sheriff's office gets a credential and comes back in and trains and gets paid as an individual. This is all done through the sheriff's office and your normal salaries and all that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have been there and I have seen how important training is, and I saw firsthand life and death situation, and I thought for sure that somebody was gonna die, and they didn't because of training. I mean, it was a split-second decision for Jones and Matt Levi, and thank God they didn't shoot because the guy didn't have a gun. The guy came at Jones and Levi with his hand in a jacket and walked briskly towards them and went like that, and they didn't shoot him. I don't know how they didn't do it, but it turned out good, so.
Mr. Chairman, if you would have to open up 7 and then 7G and ask for any motions.
7B?
7G. That's what.
And respectfully, I kinda disagree with our engineer. I just don't see how plywood can stay at $70 a sheet and people continue building homes. So it may sound good and
Let's open up 7G first before we
Okay.
discuss it, please.
What letter is it?
7G.
7G.
D.
G,
G, then we can discuss it.
G as in.
Number 7, and I still can't hear the letter.
G.
G,
G.
George.
Okay. Discussion possible action regarding buildings and equipment fixed assets, Fund 029. And we're on G, Lander County Sheriff's is requesting training facility building in the amount of $345,000.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now we can discuss it.
Okay.
I still feel
Okay,
that
Bert.
the facility is, put out, it's better building a new facility other than rehabbing an old, putting money into an old building. And so,
I'll say my 2 cents and I'll let you guys discuss it. So first off, if we were to put money in that building, it's a county building. If we were to do that, that building could be used for anything further on down the road if we ever had expansion, things that we needed. We're taking a county facility that's already there and making it better to where it could be used in the future. $3.5 million is a hard pill to swallow, and I still don't buy the square footage, price per square footage quote. But this is the thing that concerns me, I'll leave you guys with this, is that this is my 8th year of doing a budget. And never have I, until this year, ever seen projected revenues down and expenses up. This is the first time ever in Lander County that I've seen that. Consolidated tax, our ad valorem, our net proceeds, all projected revenues are down, but expenses are up because of inflation. That is a very dangerous situation to be in when you're in a business. And I can tell you, if I was a business owner right now, even personally, I'm not buying anything because of inflation, because I feel that it's not prudent. So I'm just applying that to the county, and that's how I see it. I'll leave you guys with that.
Robert, do you have any idea of what it, I mean, I know this 345,000 is just the starting point. Do you know what it, roughly what it's gonna cost to get that building up to where you need it?
We don't at this point. That was the starting point for just fixing the roof and the walls and some electrical and insulation in the building and utilities, plumbing, and we don't even know what the septic looks like out there.
Yeah, that's a
At this
concern of
point.
mine. $345,000 initially, and then, I mean, I agree with Brian. This is scary. This is the first time that we've had a decrease and an increase in a bad way.
Just to point out, so that everybody's on the same page, this is not any kind of a quote by our engineer. This is very general, 10-minute conversation I had with him this morning. He cannot provide that quote without, actually looking at a lot of factors, he told me, and putting it on paper.
One other thing I was gonna say, and I forgot, so I know I said I'd speak if you're done, but if we were to revamp that building, could we not use it as a training facility for our fire department, for our search and rescue? Could we make it a county-used building specifically for training? Not just for the sheriff's department, like any county agency could use it for that, if that's what we looked at doing, you know? I'm
is
just
that
saying that
something
we
that could
could.
be shared, can the building be shared for that?
What's Ron think about that?
well, isn't your guys' simulator and that kind of stuff kind of has to be,
Set up?
it's kind of proprietary. You don't really want anybody else in it or mixed up with it because it's pretty technical. And it's a really neat thing. If any of the commissioners ever get them in it, I know Ron and Robert, they open the doors for anybody, but that is, when you see that piece of equipment, then you understand why they wouldn't just open the door to let anybody in and work around
Is it a
it.
pretty large piece of equipment? Does it take up some square footage, or is it something that could be moved off? You see what I'm saying, to where you can still use the building, but only people that have the proper credentials to access that part of the training.
Yeah, you might be able to put a dividing wall up or something of that nature, but I don't know.
The design of that we would look for that building is similar to what we're using now for part of it. It's set up and left. It can be torn down and reset up, but it takes hours and hours to do it because you have to realign cameras and sensors. So we'd have to segregate that off into a good third of that building at least.
So the hospital, not the hospital, the airport building is how large again? How many, it was what, what were the dimensions on it?
30 by 100, I think he said? Or
30
120?
30 by 120.
So roughly three and a half, 3,500 square feet, which is probably double the square footage of where it's at now, yeah, or no?
Oh.
Well, we're only, yeah, I mean, it's, the square footage that we're using is just for the simulator right now, because the other side is still being used, and, it barely fits in there and it doesn't fit correctly. But that's still the biggest area that we could find to put it.
Well, okay, well, again, like I said, I don't argue that training is important, but my foundations, I've already stated, so.
That building would take, well, I think for our simulators alone, it's gonna take all of 30 feet wide to set up the screens that we have. And the building we're in now is 24 feet, so it'd be a little less than that, and it's tight, and we can add on to what we got, but we don't have the room to add on to it.
And definitely is worth, going and looking at that, how that, functions, because it's, it's actually very intimidating when they come up on the screen, as how lifelike, that obviously that's what the training is about, but it is very, it's that's incredible training, so.
And I, just my 2 cents on the budget, I went home last night and thought about exactly what Brian's saying. It's, to me, I know the engineers and the contractors and everybody are saying prices are never gonna come back down, but they're also making profits off of this as well. And I have major concerns with like I say, there's no way that a price of plywood is gonna stay where it's at because it's just unsustainable. So to say prices aren't gonna come back down, or a gallon of gas is gonna stay where it's at, it's just unsustainable for the American people. It would put us in a Great Depression, and that's not a place that we wanna be spending all of our money on when things are gonna roll back. So I don't know, I'm fully in support of what these guys are doing, but I have concern with the overall budget and how we're gonna, what jobs we are gonna put out and what we aren't gonna do, because it's huge. And with the price of everything going up, I know everybody thinks that these mines are insulated, but they can cut back too. And if everybody starts cutting back but us, it's a concern.
And that's the thing too, guys, we're put in office to be prudent with taxpayers' dollars, and it's just, I mean, I have a couple construction projects I'd like to do, they're on hold right now, currently because of price. Not that I couldn't afford it, it's just, I'm choosing not to because the prices are ridiculous right now. And it's just, and again, it's not, I'm not bagging on you guys, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I agree, well-trained staff is the way to be, I'm just saying time-wise, and it's just, I don't know, so it's just, it just worries me, future, costs.
Yes, but with that said, you know, I think that some of our projects that Donnie and myself have, we can, the training of our officers, and when you go over there and you go through that simulator, it's priceless. It's something everybody should do, and I think anybody with a concealed weapons permit should go over there and see what that's about, because it opens your eyes to the reality of what an officer deals with on the street, and that is truly priceless, especially when it's somebody's loved one's on the line. If we're gonna cut back, I think we could cut back there and give to these guys for that training purpose. I don't know about a new building, maybe upgrade that one, like you said, 10 years down the road, who knows what we could use that for. It's in a great location, and it can get these guys maybe through, and we can trim something back on our side, but I'm just voicing all my opinions after I had an evening to think on it.
Why don't we get some quotes on what the building would actually cost? Get contractors to get an estimate.
If Aaron can do it before the final budget,
Yeah,
that
do
would
we
be
have
my.
time to do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that I had that, that's why I had that conversation with him this
Yeah.
morning. And again, this, if you did move forward and budget this is just a budget holder until we get something solid from Aaron at that point.
Well, we need a motion, one way or the other. I don't think did we approve this $345,000
Yeah.
yesterday? We did.
Yeah, you only need a motion if you're gonna, increase it.
So we approved that, and you do have money for the older building. I mean,
But I think we're just fixing up a building that we can, like I say, it just puts it there for any other county agency. I mean, who wants a building just sitting there that can't be used? So I think it'd be more prudent to bring it up to where it can be used. And if it gets these guys out of a jam and we're able to, then we can look at this, maybe this bigger addition to the sheriff's department later on down the road,
look at it in a couple of years, and, things flip-flop
Right.
like they've been,
Yeah, exactly.
then some other group could move into that building.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we could consider, and we would have a training center, and then we could build a training center so there'd be no time lapse there.
Can we, also, like we've done before, that we go ahead and do this building, and then like we have with our net proceeds, we've kind of pigeonholed them so they're safe in there, and we put that there for future,
That's what we were just
you know,
saying.
yeah,
We
just
could
put that amount
Put it
aside.
to like this, capital,
Yeah.
like a CP.
I put money in the CCP every year
So,
from
yeah,
net proceeds.
And if so, when things turn around, we can look at it that way, and if this building, like you said, we approved, we've already approved that, we get this up to where it's utilized, and then if things turn around, hopefully in a few years, then we can revisit that as a definite option. I'm for that.
Any more discussion?
So we've already approved
We've already approved that, I guess that's where we're at, folks.
Thanks very much, appreciate it.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks for working on that.
Absolutely.
So we're on, actually 59.
59.
We have the judge here.
Judges,
Oh, yeah, we can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want the judge up here, and Dan,
What numbers are those, are they?
They're in their volume 1, and it's gonna be 001020.
okay, what numbers again?
What?
What number?
Oh, on the agenda?
No, in the packet.
It's in volume 1, it's 001020, and then 022.
Morning, Judge, how you been?
Good morning, I'm doing well.
Dan, how you been?
Good morning, sir. How are you? I'm fine.
I'm good. In the best of company now. Okay, we're on number 29, District Court, discussion possible action. There is a decrease in operations by $35,300 and $35,234. And, morning, Judge.
Good morning. Before we get started on that, I have a check for you guys.
Thank you.
That's a nice way to start off.
Always appreciate it.
So, it's for $137,595.97. Some of it's the majority of it's our return, for the district, and then there's some in there that's for, the state program for, I'm not sure what they do.
High school, way to go.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bonus for the chairman or something.
That's what they say. Do what you want with it, but
All money saved?
yeah, it's probably 130 is from us,
Wow.
and then seven's from the, 7
And
or
you
8 from
decreased
the
your
other.
budget by 35.
Huh?
And your budget decreased by 35.
Yeah, and a lot of that decrease is transfer of funds over to Lakin, and then we didn't ask for, we asked for about 45,000 less in 8065 funds. So,
Anybody have any questions?
It's got a cost of, it's a breakdown for Lander, $858,138.05.
Yeah.
What percentage is, because I know it's a cost share, right? It's between 3 different.
it's 40, 40, 20
So.
for the most part.
So
There's,
that amount is what? It's 20 or 40?
yours is 40,
Ours is 40.
yeah. You and Pershing are 40 and
and mineral is 20.
And then that is split between Lander, Humboldt, and Pershing?
Lander, Pershing, and mineral,
Lander, Pershing, and Mineral, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, this 11th Judicial District started a couple of years ago, and we knew what the split was gonna be, because Mineral counties, they're just down real bad right now, and we needed to have the 11th Judicial District.
Yeah. And, you know, they basically pay for their own salaries, but
How many miles do you log a year, Jim?
I don't know. It's 250 to here and back,
Yeah.
and it's 250 to Lander back, or mineral back. So I'm 125 from the two other county seats. Do you have any other questions about our budget?
I don't have any questions.
I would ask that maybe we just clarify the drug court, master's salary. We did add that to Lander County Drug Court Fund this year. And I don't know if maybe Judge Shirley wants to,
Okay.
speak on that. I just wanna make sure that we're clear where we're gonna budget it.
You added it as a, where was it last year? Where was it?
In Judge Shirley's budget, yes.
Oh,
Well,
And
it was
so-
in both of our budgets. The only problem that we had was that it was in both budgets, and it only needs to be in one. I personally don't care what budget it's in, as long as it's just in one.
When you say it's in two budgets, is it split between two budgets, or?
No,
No.
last year we just carried it in both budgets.
But Judge Shirley was paying the drug court master out of his budget. But I just wanna make sure we're clear on where it needs to be budgeted. Cause I don't have a
And
preference.
If we're gonna have the master, we need to increase it by $12,000 and decrease the drug court.
So it is decreased out of yours right now.
Yeah, it is.
So if we add it back to Jim's budget, we would increase it by 12,000?
Yeah,
12.5.
it's about 12.5.
And is that just because of, why would it be an increase?
Because we took it out.
Oh, I got you.
When she
Right
told
now,
us that
I see what
they,
you're saying.
Right,
I
right
got
now
you.
it's in our budget.
Okay.
We created personnel sheets for that for this year. It's something we didn't have in there last year, but I just wasn't sure if we were clear on where we wanted that to be budgeted. So I just want to make sure.
I mean, and I'm just asking because I guess I'm ignorant on it, but does it really matter where it's at? I mean, it's still
Well,
services there.
the employee's under me. So that's why we took it under the district court.
Oh, the person who handles drug court.
Yeah, the
that
master-
falls
the
under
master
you
is
versus if it's on our budget,
serves
it
at
falls
my
under us,
pleasure.
Or the,
Yeah, the master works for Judge Shirley.
okay.
It's a Lander County Drug Court, but the master works for Judge Shirley.
Yeah.
And how has it
That's
been?
the best way
And
to
that's,
explain
isn't
it.
that how it's been in the past? Is that person has worked for the judge or not?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it works for Judge Shirley. See, the master has two different hats, wears two hats. As a juvenile master and as a drug court master. So, as a juvenile master, the county has nothing to do with it. That's all 100% Judge Shirley, his employee and everything. At the drug court now, it's Lander County Drug Court, so we pay for the drug court. And the employee works for Judge Shirley.
yeah.
So I'm trying to simplify it, so that's where the potential problem comes in, is that it's the Lander County Drug Court, but it's Judge Shirley's employee. So, our drug court, I don't know how much we have for the drug court itself, but that's in Lander County's budget.
Yes.
So, which is fine, so it doesn't matter to me where the 12,000 or so comes out of, because it definitely works for Judge Shirley.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
But as long as the Lander County Drug Court stays coming out of our budget, the master doesn't matter. It's Judge Shirley's, and I think he's indicating it's simpler if it comes out of his budget because it's his employer.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, because I'm the one that has to argue for the salary.
So that's,
So then we need to make that change. We need to remove it from drug court, which we can do that when we get to that item, but we need to add it back into his.
Okay. I mean, do you guys have any questions?
No.
salaries.
Just wanna make sure I'm not missing something. I mean,
No,
it seems pretty
no.
straight and simple, you know?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
So we'll bump that up 12.5.
Okay.
So it'd be 472 and 5. Let's
So-
do 460.
Which line item?
It's at 460.
The quarterly reimbursement? I need to add the 12.5 back into there? Okay.
So when making the motion, can we just do it as presented? So that we're not getting any confusions?
as presented with
Change with the
modifications.
modifications,
As presented with modifications.
okay.
Okay, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the district court, budget, with, as presented with modifications.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Nice to see you, Judge. Dan, do you have time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Juvenile, number 31. Discussion possible action, there is an increase to operations by $10,506.
Dan Baldini for the record. Right now, I'm not asking for any increases in operations. The request that you have in front of you is basically the salaries increase. And correct me if I'm wrong, Judge, your portion would be 40%. It isn't $10,000, it's $4,000. At a 40-40-20 split, the increases that I'm proposing would be a $4,000 cost to the Lander County.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
Yeah.
So I put the 10,000 on there because that's what our increase
Well, you know
is.
what Danny's saying, our cost share would be 4,000, right, Danny?
But the budget that they gave me for Lander County's quarterly reimbursement was an increase of 10,000. That's just for Lander.
Oh. So it's $25,000 increase.
So it's a 25,000. I was under the impression it was a 10,000.
So maybe this is incorrect then, and it should be lower than.
Well,
the
he was going off your sheets. And he was taking the 10,000 and breaking it down. It should have been taking 25 and breaking it down.
Then I stand corrected.
My
It's
sheet,
okay.
what
So your
sheet?
portion would be 10,000.
The
So
agenda.
what we have here, 10,500.
Yeah, and those, that's salary increases every year. That's nothing in operations. Well, salaries are operations, but
Right.
you know what I'm saying? The rest, I went right across the board, and I'm not asking for any other increases that I didn't have last year.
For all of your programs.
For all my programming, travel, everything across the line. So you broke it down.
I did not. No, I just took your guys' amount that you're asking for from Lander
Okay.
County, and I minus it from the current year, and that's what the difference was.
Then you're still paying 40% of the increase at 10,000.
And Judge Shirley, when he gave us his breakdown, he did include the juvenile programs in that, so that's in the district court backup. Cause it wasn't separated out, so I just put it under district court, but that does show the programs that we're paying for juvenile.
So what we have on our agenda is correct for our number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I don't have any more
I'll make a
questions.
motion that we approve the juvenile budget as presented.
Second.
Brian made the motion, Kathy seconded. Any more questions, concerns?
So we went off her
Hearing none.
numbers.
All in favor?
We went off your numbers.
Opposed?
The
Yeah.
increase over the
Passes
total.
unanimously. Thank you,
Okay.
Dan.
All right, you guys are good, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I would like pulling teeth.
You got the check, right?
Yes.
Drive safe, Jim.
You got court,
I won't have to drive. I've got court.
you got court over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Stop by more often, Jim.
I will. With the check.
Yeah.
Give you $100,000.
Let's see, guys.
Okay, we're at number 58, I believe, the Civic Center
Nope, 59.
59? Libraries, discussion and possible action, there is a decrease in operations by $65,025.
So on this one, I added a bunch of lines that the library used to not have because we were under contract with Elko. So I added all the normal lines that an operating budget should have, and then I removed the contracted amount for Elko Library. But even with the operational lines added and our salaries, we're still saving money from doing the contract with Elko. Just
So I'll
wanted
make
to
the suggestion, I am.
point that out.
I'm gonna, make this suggestion for the library. I've got a little bit more, vision of the library from working across the hall from it, and I do believe that in order to get it up and running and to be operational the way it should, that we should have at least one full-time and one part-time employee in that library. The one thing, we have a lot of students and parents that go in to try to use the library, and the hours are not, it's just the way we have it now, it's no fault or no shame or blame or anything, that they can't, you get in and use it, the door's locked, and they, I think that we're doing an injustice to the community without having that library open more, so I'm gonna throw it out there that we do have one full-time and one part-time librarian.
Okay, so on the payroll sheets, I did add the Battle Mountain part-time. We didn't have that last year. We only budgeted for one part-time, but I just added it because our current practice is two part-times, one in Battle Mountain, Austin. As far as the full-time, Bert would have to speak to that. I don't know if that's something he wants to.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Miss Kathy. If we want to bring this to the level of service that we've kind of spoke about in previous meetings, we will need some additional service down there. Right now, we're providing a service that Elko County was providing and slightly better, but not the service that we spoke of in our meetings when we took it back. So if we are gonna open them doors more and make it more than a 3-day-a-week library that has limited hours, we're only getting 17 hours a week in, 19 in between them two, 17 because we have some doctor's appointments, things that we're working around our employee with. But if we want to open them hours up, we're going to have to put somebody in there full time probably to tackle that.
Would it be, and I'm just asking as a curiosity, would it be okay to have two part-times
Yeah,
for the Battle
that's what I was
Mountain
gonna
and
say.
one part-time for the Austin, so we don't get into benefits and stuff?
It's
Or-
got two
their
part-time people.
shifts.
So you're not paying PERS, you're not paying benefit, you know, all that.
I would, the problem that we end up with part-time, the thing that I see when you get part-time employees, you get part-time dedication. A lot of these part-time employees, they want a job that's just, they come in, they treat it with just even the label of part-time, they treat it that way. You don't really have that investment of, I want to build something from the ground up. They show up and they put their 19 hours a week in and they're gone and they wash their hands of it. If you want somebody that really seems to care about it, you almost have to make that a job that is their sole responsibility and they aren't doing it as something to bide some time on the side. I'm not against that. I see the cost savings, but I also think that you don't get the same production out of that employee.
You know, Bert, that's an interesting observation because as I think back across the years of the librarians that I dealt with at numerous schools, they were all pretty passionate. They were all pretty dedicated, and I think there's a lot to having a full-time librarian.
The other thing that this library has brought, when we bit this thing off, if I'd have known that there's all this stuff, I'd have been much more cautious in the bite I took. These libraries have a lot that goes into them to make them operate fluently. just with logging, cataloging of books and all that other stuff, it's a lot. And if we want this thing to be more than what Elko has, I think that we need to look at it that way. If not, we can open up the hours of service and do 2 part-times and have them overlap. Just have trouble with leadership then as well. Everybody needs a leader, and I know that sounds, and with our budget, and I have the same concerns all of you guys do, where we keep expanding and we keep ballooning out. But it's one of them things that you get what you pay for.
Well, we made promises, this board, everybody here made promises to make the library better. If we
Right.
took it over, we need,
Right.
right now, it's not better.
Right.
It's the same. And if we just get full or part-time employees, you're just going to increase the same level.
So then that asks this, because Kathy's proposal was one full-time, one part-time, couldn't we just do one full-time for the time being?
We definitely need, well,
Then you have no relief.
at one point in time, we're gonna need a full-time and a part-time. There's no, if we want to go to the next level, we're gonna have to go there
Well,
sometime.
and getting there, in there now, cause I'm in there quite often, to get it up to where it should be, and then the shelves stocked and that stuff, I mean, you definitely need a full-time employee in there. And with the leadership, and it's like the swimming pool, unfortunately, it's not anything we're gonna ever make money on, but it's, that library is utilized a lot more than I would have ever, I mean, I knew it was used, but I had no idea. Our older community uses it a lot, and the younger, parents bring them in to do the ARs for the schools, they go in there, get their AR books and stuff like that. She really has ordered and gotten some new, things in there, but it just, I believe the investment and what we told the community we were going to do with it warranted a full-time and a part-time, and, cause then you can do programs. That part-time can also work on programs for, doing little, things here and there and putting presentations and stuff like that. And so, I'm actually quite impressed at how much foot traffic and how disappointed people are when they go to, because the door's open, because I'm in there, so they go to try to open the door and then get to the library, and they're pulling on the library, and they come around to ask me, well, when's it going to be open? Well, I'm sorry, we're just, these are the hours, and I hate that look on people's faces, because it's very, they're disappointed, and
Yeah, them hours haven't changed since Elko though, so.
No, I know, but still.
I just wanna point that out.
no, and I know that, but it's still, I just didn't see it. I wasn't in there, so I didn't get to see that disappointment.
Well, I definitely, because we did make promises that would be better, and we want to be better. That's the whole point of why we did what we did, so if that's what it's gonna take,
Well, that's true, but not just better, but open.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be better and still be closed. And so open is the whole idea. So this is the time to add it to our
Yeah, we
budget.
can certainly add the full-time.
Absolutely. I think that's what we all intend to do, right?
Rita has something to say.
Okay, Rita, I'm the director of the Civic Center, and I've been trying to help out with the library, Nicole and I, because 3 days a week and 6 hours a day is not enough to get it running. We got 6,000 books that needed to go into that computer system. And of course, our computers weren't up and running at the time. They weren't where they should have been. We didn't have a scanner. We finally got all that done, but it took Nicole and I one day just to do about 1,000 books on the shelf. By the time you go get them, you scan them, you put them back. And then when somebody comes in and you need to wait on them, well, then you have to stop all that, because that's our PR, and we have to do that and stuff. So we do need a full-time. We do need to open it up 5 days a week. We want to go 5 days from 11 to 5 or whatever, or 6 days. I know we do have some Saturday programs. I didn't know what was involved until now of what that library and people coming in. With our new computers right now, we've had nothing but good feedback on them. I mean, people are loving the fact that our computers work.
Oasis is over there?
Yes, Oasis is over there. He's set them all up. Nico has. We got brand new computers. We're getting new books in, The only thing that we cannot do is to share books with other libraries, because we're not in a affiliated library. We're called the Reading Room. But we do everything a library does. And we can get anything if somebody comes in, but we just need a person in there to do this. We tried, Nicole and I tried, but then we get pulled away. And then like Kathy, she's over there, so then they're going to her. But this is something I really think we need desperately.
Well,
Yeah.
every librarian that I can remember at the high school and the junior high, they always had help. They had students come in and help. They didn't need another part-time person because they had students. So yeah, you do need 1.5 people there.
Yeah, I really feel we need, and we do have volunteers that want to come in. We've had a couple of retired teachers that say, well, if we need help, they'll come in, and so they're on our list, to call them in and stuff. But right now, we need all the help we can get.
Any more discussion?
Don't we need a certified librarian?
We do need, yes, we do need a qualified librarian to call it a library.
That is
But-
not necessarily true.
No, that's not necessarily true, and.
Oh, okay.
Those, we gotta go step by step. And Bert and I've done a lot of research on this, and right now, you guys are the library board, the county commissioners. And the statute contemplates at some point in time that you would appoint the library board, and then we'd get a librarian, but we're not there yet. So we can't jump, like, we have to take baby steps to get there. We can't jump from A to D. So, yes, at some point in time, we have to do that. But right now, you are the,
So,
Amazing they can make something that's so simple, so complicated.
yes, it is.
I just I want a glorified reading room, man.
Yeah.
Like
Amen.
materials are there for people to come in, we can service them, they can.
And we
have
do.
access to computers, to books, and it's like, I don't see why it has to be so complicated.
No, I agree with you 100%, and that may be something that we venture down the road in the future with, as opposed to creating a new board and everything else, is just making that something simple that is effective for our community. But if we have somebody full-time in there, we can have them out hustling and getting with the schools, getting with other people to bring, because when you go to these bigger cities that have the libraries that they bring events in, they have art painting, they do so much wonderful stuff for a community that it's really mind-blowing. So if we have somebody in there that can dedicate themselves to that, I think that it could be really effective.
I agree.
Okay, we ready for a motion?
I have a question,
Oh,
just not really a question.
come on up, Nolene.
Nolina Castellano, so yesterday, you guys said you had 2 vacant positions with the rec center that was never filled. You gave one to, under Anna. Why wouldn't you use the other vacant one that was never filled for this position?
We did use the other one, didn't we?
We used it for a part-time, part of it we used for a part-time.
Essentially, you kind of are, you're removing a full-time and we only added a part-time, so there is some savings still there, but it
You
wouldn't.
couldn't apply that to use it in these positions you want here for full-time or part-time? I mean, it seems like you wanna use it here instead of leave it vacant.
It's not
It's,
vacant.
it's not vacant, it was moved within the
We
budget.
removed both of them.
Oh, you removed both of them?
Yes.
Where'd you put the other one? Did I sleep through that yesterday?
Part-time at the senior center.
Oh, got you. Okay. Missed that yesterday.
Are we ready now?
I was sleeping right now.
So you guys are good, with their operating budget, right? Okay.
So with that, does it, to make a motion to, approve their budget with the inclusion of a full-time
Yeah.
employee?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
Are we
Okay.
ready for a motion?
She made the motion.
Just make the motion.
That's your motion?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Kathy, when you need me, just give me a call and I'll come back get you. Okay.
Couldn't find him in the car,
Okay.
so they have to be in my office.
You didn't find it. Well, then I'll go look.
Look in your purses in case you grabbed them.
Okay, number 60, cemeteries, discussion and possible action. There's no changes. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the cemetery's budget, as presented.
I'll second.
Kathy made the motion, Brian seconded, all in favor? Aye. Number 61, Battle Mountain Capital Acquisition, discussion and possible action. There are no changes.
So I'll make the motion that we accept the Battle Mountain Capital Acquisitions as presented.
Need a second?
Somebody second?
I did.
Oh, JR second.
Okay, I didn't hear you, JR, speak up. Okay, Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 62, emergency maintenance, discussion and possible action. There are no changes.
How did we do on that last year? Did we use it up?
I would have to check the,
No, we still have 98.09% remaining.
yeah, we usually don't use a ton of money out of the emergency maintenance fund.
We've had enough in the other budgets to handle the emergencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the emergency maintenance budget as presented.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Kathy made the motion, JR seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Reserve fund, discussion and possible action. There are no changes.
This reserve fund, is it, cause I know we have a rainy day fund as well, which is kind of a reserve fund, right, or this is completely different?
This is different. So on the rainy day fund, we had stipulations where we couldn't use the money unless we dropped a certain percentage in our general fund balance.
So my question is, should we increase our reserve fund? Is it a dedicated earmark for money that makes it somewhat untouchable?
No.
Do you guys know, or Lakin, do you know if that's correct, or?
No, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure why this was created, but we've always just budgeted money in there. But there is a mandated amount of revenue that goes in there, and so it's for first responder and road equipment replacement, and so that's what the money's supposed to be used for. Yeah,
Okay.
A dollar amount or a percentage?
percentage. I couldn't. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but
It's okay. But,
We do that on the final budget though, don't we?
for what?
Putting in the money on the rainy day fund?
No, you guys just, we haven't got to that yet, so if you guys would like me to add some net proceeds money next year when we
Okay, well, that's
receive
okay,
it.
we'll talk about it when we
Yeah,
get
I don't
there.
have
We're
anything
on
in
the
there right now.
reserve.
Yes, the geothermal money that goes in.
Okay.
Thanks, Robert.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the, reserve fund as presented.
Second? JR? Okay, we have Kathy made the motion, JR seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Administrative assessment, discussion possible action, there's no changes.
Oh, well, you got 64.
Oh, retiree insurance liability.
Now,
Yeah,
what
where
is
are we
that?
at with that?
So,
Just what it says. All of our retirees that we pay insurance on, that's our liability
Yeah,
for.
these are these are for the grandfathered in employees, cause it doesn't work the way that
Yeah,
it used to
we don't do
anymore,
it
but
anymore.
these are for employees that worked for the county years ago that are still utilizing this. We never spend anywhere close to 500,000, but we always just budget that amount to be safe.
How many people do we have still that's on that?
It fluctuates, honestly. We get an invoice every year, or I mean every month from PEB, and they have a list of them, and they come and fall off like all the time.
Okay.
So I would say anywhere
It's
from,
gotta be decreasing though.
yeah, I would,
This was, I mean, the grandfathering thing, that happened back what year? When did they cut that off?
A long time.
Yeah, so it has to be decreasing, you can't.
no, yeah, it's never increasing, but we have, you'll have someone on there, and then the next month they won't be on there, and then they'll come back on a couple months later, so I don't know exactly what happens with that, but, never anyone new, so, yeah.
Do they stay on there until they hit Social Security or a lifetime?
I think they can be on there a lifetime.
Until they expire.
It was the grandfathering.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what
Just
happens,
curious.
It's a sweet,
what
it's
happens
a
when you
sweet deal
get,
for them.
Are you
What
talking about
sh-
Medicare, you mean?
what should happen when you get to Medicare age is that Medicare should be your primary, and then you can purchase a secondary. So if the county isn't the primary, are they the secondary for the retirees?
Now, the county's the primary. They were grandfathered in.
I understand that, Ted, but when you,
There's no should and no morality here, that's just the law.
Even,
They
so
can,
once you
they can retain the insurance as primary.
yeah, because they don't have any social security credits, do they? They don't have any Medicare credits back in the day,
Yeah, it's,
right?
yeah,
Right.
so they can do it, and they're going to do it, and if,
Yeah, I worked, so
I mean, they have no reason not to do it.
right?
Okay.
I'll make a motion
I
that-
thought that county employees could go to the Nevada Health Exchange, and that cost was $315 a month, if I remember correctly. So we may wanna look at that in the future.
But we don't do this for the retirees anymore.
We're just talking about a small group of people that were grandfathered
Oh,
in.
well, yeah.
We don't
that'll
provide
dissipate.
those services.
And they have their own insurance that they pay for, and then we pay PEB back.
So I'll make a motion, we approve the, retiree insurance liability as presented.
A second.
Okay, Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded, Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay, what we got now? 65, administrative assessment, discussion and possible action. There's no changes. Any questions about this?
I'm sorry, what is the transfer of revenue?
So every year, the Justice of the Peace, our agenda Justice of the Peace can request that there be a transfer from the admin assessment and the
They can,
court
but they don't
facility
always.
fees. Not always, and then it goes into the court facility capital. So they can request that some of that revenue
Right,
be transferred.
I remember when we wanted to build this building, they kept asking for all of that extra revenue from our judge then, who wasn't giving it up.
Right. We saved it.
We remember that, but
It's
but
at
they
the
they
discretion
did
of the
transfer,
judge to ask for that.
they did transfer the revenue?
I don't ever know if they're going to, so we always just put that budget that in there.
Okay, got it.
But it's at her discretion if she wants to.
And it could sit there for several years and then be transferred.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the
okay.
balance can
Thank you.
accumulate.
I'll make a motion that we approve the admin, assessment as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, Kathy made the motion. Patsy seconded. Anybody have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, genetic marker.
What is this?
Yeah, what is that?
This is a pass-through, so it, essentially it's our, like any court fees or any kind of fees maybe that the clerk's office collects. A portion of that, it's divvied out between multiple funds, and a portion of that goes to genetic marker, and then we pay it back to the state.
Why do they label it as genetic testing?
I'm assuming that's what they use it for, but I
It's
I
what
don't
they
know.
do.
Genetic testing for like in the criminal
Everybody
world?
convicted of a felony
So it's like, it's
Has
a
to-
part of the courts.
has to get the
Okay.
DNA,
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And we pay this back to the state,
Okay.
so.
and they have to pay money
Okay.
to do it.
So then they're always in the system.
Yeah. Exactly. Break the law.
Yeah, right.
Or don't get caught.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we accept the, genetic, marker, as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, Kathy made the motion. Patsy seconded. Any more comments, questions, concerns? I'll call for a vote.
So if you're
All in
bad
favor?
once, then we hope you're bad twice, and that's how we catch it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, passes unanimously. 68,
67.
NPM rainy day discussion, possible
Art.
action.
67. Forensic
Oh,
fee.
I'll keep on jumping. Forensic fees. Discussion, possible action. There's no changes.
This is another one that the money is collected and then it's broke out, and this is another one of those funds.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I'll make the motion for the forensic fee, budget to be accepted as presented.
Okay, Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. Any more questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. NPM rainy day discussion, possible action. There's no changes.
So currently, we've built the fund balance up to 11,400,000 over the past couple years. This year, we are not budgeted to put anything in there, and then I don't know if you guys want me to budget anything for next
Now,
year.
stipulations on that is it only can be used if what?
So our fund balance has to drop a certain percentage. I'd have to look at the resolution, but if our fund balance dropped a certain percentage in the general fund, then we could.
Then we can access
Yes, but that's where I kind of wanted to be cautious, because the more we put into it, we can't get it out unless we drop below.
But that's the whole point of a rainy day fund. I
Right,
mean, if
but
this,
I
if
just
this
wanted you
county
guys to
has a
be aware of that.
problem, we'd never had anything before set aside. And we've got to do that, so,
that.
the percentage that we put in, we usually put in what we can, right?
Yeah, my question is, do you wanna use it on the projects that you're approving, or do you wanna put it in this fund that we can't touch?
Lakin, is there a year on that? I thought there was also a year that says that fund balance had to drop at least 3 years before you could touch it.
It
Yeah, and
does.
there might be, I'd have to read
It
the
is 3
resolution.
years. No,
Yeah,
it's,
I don't-
you're correct. It's
Yeah.
3 years.
And then,
I mean, this is your future retirement for this county. This is the only thing we have to fall back on if, everything went wrong.
that's right.
And, yes, it's true. You can't just say, oh, we had a bad year, let's go and get it. It's protected.
It's
But,
a hedge fund is what it is.
but yes, I mean, we fought hard to get this and this is our future of this county. And yes, we can't use it, but when they need it, if they need it, it will be
They'll
there.
thank us for
Yeah.
20 years down the road. If
So,
anything does happen, they'll be thanking us.
Yes, but 11 million doesn't go very far either in
No.
our
Right, that's what she's
operations,
saying.
so.
That's what she's saying, is that we need to consistently be putting money in.
We
for
have to
the
keep,
fund.
yeah,
Yes.
we have to keep at it.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I just, when we get that net proceed money, that discretionary is what we use to fund our projects that we've, committed to doing. And so I want to make sure that we're still able to increase the CCP fund and the fund 029 to cover those costs.
Okay, but we won't have the exact amount until
No,
our final,
That's why it's
our
hard to
final.
budget this, because
So, okay, I would make a motion that we continue with the rainy day fund, and you will give us the amount later.
So, I think you brought up a good point, is that we need to, as a county, be careful of the services we keep providing and growing without bringing other sustainability to our county.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think this rail spur thing that we're going down, it's like, that growth has to be hand in hand, because if things do ever crash, and we've created all this, we're never gonna be able to support it. So, as we're putting these services there, we need to be looking outside of the box, like, what can we bring to create further revenue for Lander County to support these things, so, I'm just saying,
yeah, I mean, if we say we get 15 million left over of net proceeds, essentially, all of that should be going into our CCP and our 029 to cover the costs that we're approving every year, but we need to take some of that and
Okay,
put it
but
in
we
here. then-
can't ignore this, and I did make a motion if anybody wants to second it.
I'm sorry, I cut you off, so I didn't hear the motion.
Oh, the motion is that we continue to contribute to our rainy day fund, and that the amounts will be brought back to us at the final budget. We'll decide then how much.
Got you.
But I want to be able to do that though, Patsy, because this is for next May. So you're approving this, and then
Well, how can we set an amount when we don't know?
That's why I'm saying, if you want to just set a set amount, then every year I'd put 500,000 or $1 million
Okay,
in
so we have a total of 11 million?
there. 11 million.
I'm trying to think, we've been putting
Yes.
in, we've only done it for what, 3 years?
Yeah, so we did 3 million, I think, when you guys first created it, and then I think 8. Maybe it wasn't quite 8, and then we did 1.9 out of the general fund to transfer.
Okay.
But I believe it's at 11,400,000 right now.
Okay, so I have to do an exact amount then on my motion,
I would.
because you won't be able to tell us.
No, and so this year when we receive net proceeds in May, if you want, when I do the discretionary, I can put an amount in there this year too, even though it wasn't budgeted, I could still do it, but this is for next May.
I thought we budgeted.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, last year you guys
like to
didn't.
take and put a percentage on it of net proceeds that you'd like to put in there? And then Lakin can just update you guys with how much that dollar amount is after we receive net proceeds, but a certain percentage?
I don't know, I don't know if the percentage, I'm trying to think here, so.
We're gonna have a 5-minute break here, you guys can think about this. How's that? This is a pretty important decision. Okay,
Who's on back?
we are now on,
Oh, Lincoln's not back yet. We have to wait for Lincoln.
we gotta wait for Lakin. Yeah, the money girl.
So I want
Muted.
an
Okay.
apology on the record. It wasn't me.
It was you, loud and obnoxious back in the corner. We have to wait for Lakin, I think.
We could always come back to it if you'd like, Art, and, I think Lakin was just doing some research.
That's all right, we can still discuss it. So,
So do you think a set amount or a percentage?
what do you think about a number? What,
Unmuted.
this is the question I have. The rainy day fund can be used for catastrophic events, right?
Yes.
The roof blows off in a tornado or
No.
whatever.
No,
No.
it's not an emergency fund like that. It's when the county actually doesn't have enough to, yeah, when we are in bad trouble, and we have to be in bad trouble 3 years, which means at least we
See,
have
that's the thing that bothers me is the 3 years,
the fund.
yeah.
But
I mean,
we're,
just sustained for three years at our current rate, we'd need what, 35 million bucks in there? What's it take us to operate in a year? I mean, if we cut a lot of our projects out, just basic,
Wages and,
yes, what,
In-
a round down on
benefits.
that number?
That's a quality liking question.
more than that.
Because honestly, I think we should be looking in terms of to be able to sustain for that 3 years, you know?
I think
All
that,
in,
the sheriff's office alone, I think in just wages is,
Robert,
yeah, almost,
Well, I imagine we're looking at somewhere between, what, 3 and 5 million?
I'd say on the uptrend of that.
that's
closer to
just the
five.
sheriff's office,
Closer to five.
jail, on the jail.
Well, I know, but I mean, the point is, we don't have enough to just put in and fund forever right now, so we have to put in,
I'm just looking like a target amount, you know?
right. And,
And then that,
and
I
we,
think
we
we
need
could
to
then
do
look
this
at-
every year, so,
Right, and then we could look at that. where we
right,
need to
so
go
I'm
to base
saying,
to be able to achieve
what
that,
would you
know?
like to do this year? Somewhere between 3 and 5 million?
I don't know until I know that number,
No, what number?
what it takes to sustain the basics for 3 years. I wanna know what that, does that make sense?
Well, yeah, because that's how you're gonna base your amount you're gonna put in there, is you need to know what your sustainability is, and how much you need for 3 years.
Well, that would be nice, but, it isn't gonna make any difference if she said,
Yeah, it is.
you know,
It'll
our
make
budget
difference
is
in our
50
financial plan.
50 million, we're not gonna put in 40. I
Well,
mean,
not this year, but you can plan.
that's what I'm saying, so we're just kinda working towards it.
Oh, boy, like,
They
we
can-
got
so
a
you
beehive
Missed
here.
it, yeah.
I just went and got some numbers for you guys.
I thought a 5-minute break would calm things down. Okay, we got a bunch of questions.
So do you know, as far as to operator county, if we cut projects out, but just to sustain, to pay our employees and the current things that we got going, how much we would need a year? Just a rough idea of that?
I can look at our audit, that'd probably be the best way to tell you. But I did, just go run our net proceeds number for next year, from the final revenue projections that the state sent out, and we're gonna receive about 21 million, but that's before all of our mandated amounts that have to go out, and then, left over for discretionary, we'd have about 11 million.
About 11 million?
Yeah. And for this year, we should have about 14 million left. But the final revenue projections that we just got from the state, the net proceeds have dropped a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, it went down a lot from the last previous years, so it's a lot smaller than what we're used to getting.
Well, is that because of the way they did, because I know gold's been up to $2,000 an ounce, so where is, I know that when they went back and negotiated, that the amount they were gonna give to the school had nothing to do with the county's amount, so how are we being deducted?
So there's a lot that goes into it, but the mines, they can do write-offs, so it
Yeah.
depends on how many write-offs they have. If they have a lot of stuff they can write off, and I know when the merger happened
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Newmont and Barrick, that really hurt us, cause they were able to write off a lot, I think. And so I don't know if we're still seeing that, the effects of that or not, but, they basically, that's the money, the amount that the state gives us is the property tax, basically, that the mines are gonna have to pay, and then we put it into a spreadsheet to see what we will actually receive out of that. Because we only get a portion of it, but it just depends on the mines and what they can write off.
And it's really gonna be bad with inflation, costs going up, but
Mhm.
not
Oh, yeah.
necessarily gold rising as quickly, you know what I'm saying?
But so is the fuel price too.
Well, that's what I'm saying, all that stuff, in expense, you know, it's a,
So you got
It affects it.
$2,000,
right, it affects in that line,
$2,000 an ounce gold, but now you have $5 a
right.
gallon diesel.
that's right.
So, and that was a big thing the last time the mines took
It's gonna
a hit.
affect
the thing that bothers me, if we have a bunch of money in there and it takes 3 years to get it out, do we have enough money to make it through a rough 3 years? I mean, if that's the
what we're
concern.
talking about.
I know in, what was it, 95, they even eliminated departments. The park department lost 5, a full-time person, a part-time person, and then summer help. I think that there were 5 positions cut. But that's when the mine laid off all those people. Gold was $2.50 an ounce
Yeah, I even cut my contract, I had to contract with the county.
back in 95. Yeah.
So Lakin, you're saying we actually can make an amount, for this year?
Yeah,
And
even though
then
we-
for the
even though
budget
we
for
didn't
next year?
Budget it, you can still, because it's a revenue, it's not an expenditure, you don't have to augment or anything like that. We could still put some money in, this year, and then we
Okay.
can put an amount for next year.
Have that number?
So just to kind of give you guys an idea, this is just for the general fund, because usually we don't have a lot of capital outlay in there. We brought in 14 million, in last year for FY21, 14 million in revenue for the general fund, but we spent, 16 million. So the last year's audit was the first time I've seen it where our general fund balance actually went down and it didn't decrease.
And that's what I'm saying.
So
That's
we
what
spent
need
more
to be
than we brought in.
Very, very careful
Yes.
about.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
don't
what you
like
want.
laying people off. I don't like rifts.
Okay, but we still have
Yeah.
quite a running budget.
Our fund balance for the general fund is still at 44 million. That's
Okay.
just the general fund. We have
Okay.
close to 200 million for
Right.
the county.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, you can do with it what you want, but I make a motion we put the 3 million in for this year and 3 million for the new budget.
69, so that brings us up to 69, that brings us up to 17 million.
I'll second.
So 17 million.
Calculate.
That would get us 1 year, so.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
You
would
good?
I'd be fine with that, yeah.
Okay. Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded it. Any more discussion, concerns? Call for a vote. All the ayes?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Hopefully, we don't enter the era of doom and gloom. Number
And then,
60.
but real quick on that fund, do we have it, I'm sure it's invested in multiple accounts, or how?
Juicy would be better to answer that, but she's not here today,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah, it's in investments. We only keep a certain amount in our actual checking
Okay,
account.
good.
So,
I figured we would, I just.
Yeah.
Okay, 69 Austin Water, discussion and possible action. There's an increase to operations by $200. Donnie,
This is postage,
$200?
$200, yeah. Postage went up twice last year, and they told us it's probably gonna go up twice again this year. And we're pretty much,
yeah, everything else is
Yeah.
the same, but we are seeing a big increase in postage.
How we doing down there with the water?
actually doing really good. Everything's holding, little problems here and there, but we've been able to handle them.
I'm surprised with gas and oil that they're not asking for a increase in gas and oil.
Yeah.
That's good, I mean, it's fine.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Austin Water, I was gonna say fund, the Austin water operation
Need a second?
as presented.
I'll second.
Pat's made the motion, Kathy seconded it. Any more questions, Brian? I see you looking at.
No, I
something.
have no question.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Number 70, Austin Sewer, discussion possible action, there are no changes. How we doing down there with that?
Everything's good on that end.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Austin sewer, as presented.
Second?
Okay, Kathy made the motion, Patsy seconded. Any more questions? All
Um,
in favor? Oh, hold on.
No, that's
All in
fine.
favor? Aye.
Then my question, that's fine. So I know we had an awful lot of expenses that we didn't plan on having. Are we pretty well up to date, or we got some things that are gonna be major down there?
We have some plans for the future, but we've put them off this year, and we're waiting for everything to calm down along with the budget and everything. And then we'll have to bring it back next year or the year after. But we're just gonna do it one bite at a time, do it slowly, cause we don't like disrupting everybody's service down there. And
But
so-
things have mellowed out.
Yes, things have mellowed out right now, so,
Okay, have you had any complaints from the Austin people?
no.
Bert?
We've had a few water breaks and the crews handle it, and so,
I've only heard good things.
Me too.
Going
They're
smooth?
happy. Very happy.
Are their services less than they paid before to the district?
I believe they stayed the same right now.
We had agreed to keep the same.
We wanted to come back and address that later on.
But we're providing a better service
Yes, we are,
at the same cost.
yes.
And we don't charge if you're not hooked up, right?
There is an SOF fee down there,
Is what?
a service obligation fee down there that everybody pays.
Which I think they're happy to do with their new,
Absolutely.
with everything that's been done for them, they're happy to do. Haven't heard any complaints about having to.
No, I haven't, but to be honest, on my end, I don't see why they should be paying that. We don't pay one here in Battle Mountain, so.
And I think that was one of the things that when we did what we did down there, we discussed trying to offset some of that cost, and that's what we came up with, wasn't it, this board? If I remember right?
Well, when they had, Highway 50 open and we did all those improvements, I mean, that was so important, let's face it. The town was, pretty old. So, thank you.
Okay, Battle Mountain Water, increase of $1,000. Discussion and possible actions.
That was the same thing on the postage again, so. The reason it's more is because we have way more customers and way more bills.
We're gaining?
Yep.
What do you happen to know what our increase is from the one year to the next?
No, I don't, Brian, I'm sorry, but I do know, I just talked to Carrie, and we're on the average billing out 1,500 people.
How many?
1,500 here in Battle Mountain.
Went from 1,200.
Was it 12?
1,200 2 years ago to 15 now.
Yeah,
So it's just in
That's good.
yeah,
tracking the.
that's coming up too.
Yeah.
I think it was like 1,250 something, that's not exactly.
Right,
in
it
the
fluctuates,
1200s 2 years
you know,
ago
so.
to what we are now, so.
Okay, need a motion on Battle Mountain Water.
I will make a motion that we, the Battle Mountain Water as, tongue-tied, as per budget as presented.
I'll second it.
Captain made a motion, JR seconded. Any more questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye opposed, passes unanimously. 72, Battle Mountain Sewer, discussion possible action. There is an increase to operations by $1,000.
That's
Same reason.
Same reason, postage, yep.
We're doing good with the sewer.
Yes,
I don't know if it's possible, but man, I'd like to see a bale of flower seeds dumped over the wetlands program. I'll bet you that would look beautiful.
it might, screw up our infiltration though.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice when it
It's
finally
pretty
comes.
green in there right now, if you look, so,
Yeah, it's getting green.
yeah,
Few nitrates.
yep.
Okay, need a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the Battle Mountain Sewer, budget as presented.
Second.
I'll second it.
Cat made the motion, JR seconded. Any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, Lander
Thank you.
County.
Thanks, Donnie.
Just talking for drug court.
Yeah,
We already covered that.
No,
no,
we have
it's-
to cover it.
yeah.
So that's, okay, open it up.
Okay, Lander County Drug Court, discussion possible action. There's no changes.
So we still have the operational budget, which hasn't changed.
Right, see,
Which is ours.
this is what I said, it's Lander County Drug Court, so we pay.
So the payroll sheets that are in your backup, we won't do those. We'll just take those out and we won't budget for that. So we'll just budget the 25,000 for the operations.
It's not called the 11th Judicial District Drug Court,
Right.
it's
Lander County Drug Court.
But the judge says that it's his employee, so he thinks it should have come in not worth fighting over because, I mean, years ago, we came up with the money to pay him for it. But somehow it's been absorbed by the judiciary.
And what is the success on this?
Good.
Is it really well?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you track that statistic?
Because we're not getting a lot of these people do not, reoffend. They're actually weaned off drugs.
So you actually, that's how you track it then, ins and outs into your court system?
And, I mean, there are exceptions, but if we send somebody to a 30-day rehab or 60-day or 90-day rehab, maybe 10% of them it will work on, maybe 10%. If it's 30 days, I'd say maybe 1%. But if we make them go through a year and a half, we see that.
Which is on the outside, right? You put them back into society, let them get a job, have them
Yep.
check in. Yeah, obviously, I think that's better than being
80, 90,
institutionalized into
we have
some.
about 80%,
You know, the one thing that I always think about drug court is some of those kids that wound up in there, I know why they wound up in there. They got a bad deal. And, you know, they're still our kids and we still need to be compassionate, get them through the hard times.
Well, that's what drug court's about, taking care of our kids.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Hey, like, and I see on the expense side, so on that $25,000 budget, we still have 67% of that budget remaining. Do we plan on spending that before June?
I don't foresee us spending the full 25 this year, but it definitely changes. I mean,
Yeah,
last year we did spend, I think we actually went over a little bit on the,
So there's some fluctuation, okay.
yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the court facility fees as presented for the Lander County Drug Court. Oh, I didn't mean to say facility, the Lander County Drug Court as presented.
I'll second.
Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded. Any more questions on the drug court? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Here's the facility.
Unanimous. Okay, 74, court facility fees. Discussion possible action, there are no changes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the court facility fees as presented.
I'll second.
Pat's made the motion, Kathy seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Juvenile administration assessment, discussion possible action, there are no changes.
So explain this to me, what's this used for?
So we have to pay the state, this assessment fee. It's juvenile, money that comes in from any kind of juvenile cases, but then we have to pay an assessment to the state. So it's about, one invoice a year they send us and we just pay the yearly fee.
So that money, they've earmarked that money to be sent to them, what do they use that money for? Do we know?
I'm assuming juvenile programs, but I don't know.
Is that for when they're doing the reports on the juvenile, like it is for the adults, Robert? You know, like
No, it's different.
No, Lena should know.
It's different. Your juvenile
Please come up.
admin assessment stuff's gonna be different. I mean, all your juveniles have different special assessments that they do for them. And when you pay the state, it's what happens when you send the kid to like state placements. So they're doing it there.
This is similar.
That's what they use that money for?
Yeah, this is similar to the same kind of contract we have like with the health nurse stuff and the indigent medical stuff. It's one of those contracts that they send us and we have to pay them a fee.
So like you said, Nolina, so if the state decided to send somebody to the place over there in Elk, I forget the name of it, that money would be used to house them there, or?
No, they do different assessments, or so if there's not enough, they're always broke. So they'll help use that money to pay for their different assessments to determine what programming that child specifically is gonna need, say for counseling, different things like that.
And we don't have a say on that, huh? That's just-
No,
that's
we're mandated.
Mandate?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion that we, accept the juvenile, admin assessment budget as presented.
I'll second it.
Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. Any more questions about juvenile admin assessment? All in favor? Aye. Mind map fees, discussion and possible action, there are no changes.
Yeah, I just used the same numbers, that Leslie had last year.
So these are the fees that so explain that to me. What do we use?
These fees are set by statute, so she receives a certain portion of the mind map fees, and then she can spend them on certain things.
Any more questions?
No.
Get a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the MyMap fee, budget as presented.
Like all these fees we have to pay and don't have a choice on it.
Are you second?
He's second.
Oh, JR second. Okay, Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Technology fees, discussion and possible action, there's no changes.
Yeah, so currently the recorder and the assessor are the only two receiving the tech fees. The assessor commission is by statute, and again, they can only use the money for certain things.
I propose we accept the technology fees as presented.
We get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, JR made a motion. Kathy seconded. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Court facilities, capital.
Did we already talk about airport capital fund budget?
Yeah, you guys approved that with
We
the
did.
projects in the beginning.
Well, the facility is here, right?
What?
This is the facility.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Denise can use this money for, but we never budget an expenditure amount. It's just a revenue that goes in there.
What's the revenue used for?
I don't know. There's never been any money spent out of it since I've been fiscal officer, and Denise would maybe be the better person to ask.
So it continually grows? Or is it, you put it in, don't use it, comes back? How's that work?
No, it grows.
So what's that for, Ted?
Isn't this
Facilities
where
capital.
where they purchased the vehicles from?
It's a discretionary fund with the judge, that they can do certain things with it.
I think they have stipulations, like they can only use it for certain.
Yeah, I think this is where they got their vehicles from.
There's certain restrictions and conditions set on it.
And there's a statute set amount, or do we have a say on the amount of money that goes in it?
It's
I think it's set. Isn't
Well,
that set?
it's whatever she asks. So that's what I was saying, how she can, the admin assessment and the court fees, she tells me what she wants to transfer every year.
But it's her money.
But it's her money.
It's her money.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, I understand.
Okay, any more questions? We got a motion on this?
Make a motion, we accept the court facilities, capital, budget as presented.
Yeah, Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. All in favor? Aye. Against? Passes
What do we do
unanimously.
about the one down here that's not on the agenda, the airport capital?
We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
We did it yesterday,
You approved it at the beginning of the meeting when you did all the projects.
it's under projects.
You wanna go back
Oh,
over it?
right, got it, with the
I
FAA.
had the same question. I made the same mistake.
You wanna go back? Okay.
I remember most of it.
I know.
I don't.
I agree with you, Patty.
Okay, that brings us to the end. Is there anything else that we need to discuss for budget? Mr. Ferrera, take it away.
I think, I'd like to thank and applaud the county commission for doing a wonderful job the last 2 days. I wanna thank Lakin because she did an outstanding job, and thank everybody for cooperating. This was not flawless, but it was a great event.
Well, it was nice, cause
It was nice, and thank you all for your participation.
Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, I want to thank all the elected officials and department heads because they truly work very well with me, and I don't get a lot of kickback. And then these three over here are always on my side, so I got to thank them too. But
We have a
I
great
appreciate
county.
you guys.
Just need to
Yeah.
keep it that way.
Yeah, we
Yes.
do.
It's a great team. I would like to say something real quick for Lakin, because this is kind of her first full-blown rodeo with it all on her shoulders, and she answered every single question flawlessly. And I don't think anybody appreciates what I've seen her do in the last month. She's had a lot going on and
Thank
really
you.
bust her tail, so.
Yeah, Heidi's not allowed to have another baby in January anymore, I can tell you that right now.
Actually, no, it's not on here because it's just for discussion for the food storage and stuff that we have on, have you been watching any of this stuff as far as them saying that that type of storage needs to be grown, if people already have that started, have you seen any of that?
I have not.
Well, they had on the news that like 25% of our flour comes from Russia and the Ukraine, and so they're expecting flour prices to either go like off the, just so, for general knowledge for people.
Yes, that was one of my concerns with Tonya and the senior center with the way the price of food is going up. I have concerns with her budget being severely hit this coming year. So we'll see. We're gonna feel it out and move forward. We're looking at it, but it's a concern.
That's why I was really excited to hear Lois talk about community gardens. I think that's awesome.
Well, I think that these greenhouses that we have, one at the senior center in Austin, one over at the old courthouse, and one at the senior center here, will prove their worth. And if we can get these community gardens really up and operating, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
No more suspicion about the greenhouse over at the old courthouse?
No, I think that one's all solved up.
Burning issue on social media. What was, oh my God, a greenhouse.
So no, any of that kind of stuff where you can be self-sufficient anyway, is huge.
It's, we have some great things with the community going too, with our seniors wanting to work with our youth. There's gonna be some outstanding, information passed back and forth. So these kids are gonna learn a lot that they normally see them learn.
Well, I'm just happy about 4-H, cause I'm not even a 4-H'er. So,
Okay, we have any other topics to discuss? I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
so
Public
moved.
comments.
Oh, yeah.
Second?
We do public comment.
That's made motion, JR, seconded, all in favor?
Aye. Do we need public comment before?
Oh, excuse me.
Muted.
Yeah, we need public comment. Any public comment?
Unmuted.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
I lost my keys.
We have it?
We have it, okay. Goodbye.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
You just found them for me.
See y'all Thursday.